In Jan 2007, Steve Jobs walked onto the stage in San Francisco. He held a small, sleek black rectangle in his hand and said, "Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone." The crowd cheered, but what they didn't know was the device in Jobs' hand represented years of secret work, sleepless nights, and one of the boldest decisions in Apple's history. Back in early 2000, Apple was on top of the world because of iPod. It was stylish, powerful, and had become a cultural icon. But Steve Jobs couldn't stop worrying. Phones were getting smarter. Nokia, Motorola, and Blackberry were adding music players into their devices. Jobs knew it was just a matter of time before people stopped buying iPods and simply used their phones for music. He had two choices. One, wait for that day in the future to arrive and watch Apple's biggest product fade away. And second, take the risk of killing the iPod himself and building something entirely new. And Jobs chose the second option. He gathered a small group of engineers and designers, locked them into the top secret building in Apple's campus, and gave them a mission. Build me a phone that doesn't feel like a phone. Build me something that will make every other phone look like a joke. It was called Project Purple. The team had to work in total secrecy. Even most Apple employees had no idea what they were doing. But making a revolutionary phone was not a simple task. Phones in those days had tiny screens, physical keyboards, and clunky softwares. Steve Jobs wanted something radical, a device that was all screen. A team began experimenting with multi-tech technology which allowed a screen to detect more than one finger at a time. Suddenly, you could pinch to zoom, swipe to scroll, tap to open. It was magical, but it was just one piece of the puzzle. They had to build everything from scratch. A new operating system, new chips, new batteries. Apple even secretly created its own processor because existing mobile chips weren't powerful enough. The work was grueling. Engineers slept in their offices, prototypes kept breaking, deadlines were brutal, and then there was Steve Jobs, demanding, pushing everyone to aim higher. At one point, Apple tried a shortcut. They patterned with Motorola to make a music phone called ROKR. It was supposed to be an iTunes phone, but it ended up being slow, ugly, and could only hold 100 songs. Jobs was furious. He decided Apple would control everything: hardware, software, and design. And finally, after 2.5 years of secret development, the iPhone was born. On Jan 9, 2007, Jobs revealed it to the world. An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. Are you getting it? He teased. The crowd erupted. When people saw the iPhone's big glass screen, the touch gestures, and full web browser in a device that fit into your pocket, they knew it was something entirely new. Not everyone believed it would succeed. Microsoft CEO laughed and said there was no chance the iPhone would gain significant market share. But history proved him wrong. The iPhone sold millions of units, killed the keyboard phones, made app stores mainstream, and turned Apple into one of the most valuable companies in the world. And here's the most powerful part of the story. Apple didn't just create an iPhone. They created a device that changed how we communicate, work, shop, date, learn, and live. The iPhone story is a reminder that sometimes you have to risk your greatest success to create your next one. And sometimes you have to compete with your own self before anyone else does.